Percy, get the rocket. Lance, please. No, Lance. You can't say this. This isn't you. Get the rocket! What's up, guys? THICKUMS here, and here we are to do a review of chapter 115 of 4 Knights of the Ababalaba, which is known as the Battle of the Albion. And it was so short-lived. My thick boy, my hunky chunker, and that lump of thick. It really is the Battle of the Albion, singular. And I'm not talking about single Albion. I'm talking about single battle. That not last long. Oh, I love him though. I love him. You know, if we couldn't get Zeldris, if we couldn't get Gelda, if they can't have kids, I guess, I don't know. Like, does it really work that way? I don't know. Israel had kids, right? Like, Gelda's his kid. So I don't think, like, vampires can reproduce, right? Like, I don't know, because a whole bunch of y'all were like, well, maybe Zeldris doesn't have kids because vampires are, you know, literally vampires. But I'm like, well, vampires are a natural occurring species in this world. I don't think you, like, bite people. Maybe, actually, no, we do. They do become vampires. But then again, but Israel has kids. I don't know. Regardless, if we couldn't get Papa Zeldris, or, like, legitimate Papa Zeldris, not step Papa Zeldris, I'll take big hunka chunka Albion. But let's not waste any more time and let's hop right into it. Editing me. Ready. 3, 2, 1, go. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Fun fact. I have it on me. And I keep it on me at all times. So, let's not waste any more time and let's hop right into it. So, first things first, look at my chunker boy. Look at how thick that boy is. Hey, man, double cheeked up on a Tuesday afternoon. Hallelujah. Is that wrong? Should I not say that about an Albion? Should I not? Basically a construct, right? Like, what are the rules on construct? Can I call it double cheeked up? Because really ain't got no cheeks. It's like a full cheek. Like it literally is like a whole heft. Like a straight heft of a chonka donka. I don't know. Is it girth? Or is it just round? Is it just rotund? I don't know. Regardless, look at my thick boy. Look at how thick he is. I'm sorry. I don't know. It's so weird. Like, to this day, I don't know why. I'm just like Lance. Lance and me, we just like each other, for real. Because just like him, for no reason, I have an irrational love of this thing. It only appeared, like, once again, I'm thinking back, it is literally, I think it's in, like, 1% of the narrative. And probably in the original series has maybe a chapter of screen time. Maybe total. Okay, maybe more than that. It probably has, like, 2 chapters of screen time. But still, like, barely 1% of the narrative, if that. Oh, no, I just love it. It's a big, thick boy. It's a big, thick earth demon boy. Don't know how these are made, though. Like, the thing is, you would think this would be, like, a giant clan thing. Because it's, like, I don't know, a giant earth construct. Like, I know the demon clan has their, like, weird magic and stuff like that. But, like, you would think this would be, like, out of their pay grade. But it's not. And I'm happy because, you know, I like them thick. I mean, I do. But, like, okay, now let's hop right into the chapter itself. So, we do get to see that Sir THICKUMS himself, we'll call him Sir THICKUMS, and on this chapter and this review, all in honor of Sir THICKUMS. So Sir THICKUMS is moving, and, you know, considering they've been moving for a minute, and has the very reasonable question, hey, where's the behemoth, anyway? We've walked a whole lot. And Donnery is like, well, you kind of spitting, man. I mean, if it's that big, you think we have a good view of it by now. And then we get something that kind of like snapped my neck. There's nowhere about it. We're already on the behemoth's back. So, before I get into its second statement and start freaking out, huh? Like, here's the thing. It's weird. Like, presumably this thing has a magic signature, right? Like, if I had to take, it has to have one. Right? Like, you can't, even if not a magic sense, like, you should be able to sense it. Like, I feel like its presence, if it really is radiating death like that, like, you should be able to perceive it, but somehow they can't. I wonder if that is Percy's fault. Because notably at the end of last chapter, it was noted by Mortlock and crew that for some reason around the Albion itself, which is weird, because I think at the end of last chapter, it was like where they're revealed to be versus where the miasma was avoiding the Albion is different. Like, I think at the end of 114. I can't check. But at the end of 114, I'm pretty sure the miasma was around its head or cleared around its head, but then it's revealed that they're in the stomach in this chat. I don't know. It's weird. But regardless, I'm assuming it's Percy's fault. I'm very much assuming it's Percy's fault. But speaking of Percy and it being his fault, well, actually, no, the big thing I do want to admit, that thing must be massive then, because you got to realize they are on an Albion. And, like, notably, skipping over this little interaction right here. We're going to talk about it in a second. This right here. But to the behemoth, this Albion is pretty much like a flea. Now, for reference, let's do some mathematicals. I have the Googler right here. So allow me to do some mathematicals for y'all. So the Albion on numerous occasions is described to be like a mountain-sized beast. He a thick boy for a reason. Like he a bit of a chonker. So a flea. How big, how many times smaller is a flea than, let's be super duper generous, a chihuahua? I have no idea how to spell chihuahua. Wait, that wasn't. So, fleas are small, wingless, flat insects with 3 pairs of legs. Adult fleas are about 1/8 of an inch long, 1 to 3 millimeters. They are dark reddish brown in color. So, I can't find a comparison. Oh, okay. Here's a comparison. So, females are bigger than males, reaching up to about 2.5 millimeters in length, whereas the latter can be less than 1 millimeter. For comparison, a black pepper grain has about the size of 5 millimeters in diameter, or the head of a ballpoint pen is 4 millimeters in length. An Albion, a mountain-sized construct, is a flea on the back of the behemoth. A flea. Like, unfortunately, I do not keep salt or pepper in my room, but I should have. Do I not have a ballpoint pen somewhere? Like, I do not. Unfortunately, I do not. Let me see. The thing is, that's centimeters. So, like, 5 millimeters. I'm a little bit rusty on my metric system. But I'm pretty sure this right here is 5. The camera's not focusing. But this right here is like 5 millimeters. This is the Albion in reference to the flea. Now, let's just do some quick mathematics. How big, how girthy, well, not, I gotta stop using the word girthy. How big is a chihuahua? Not a chimpanzee. Not a chinchilla either. A chihuahua. How big is a chihuahua? Not pounds wise, like height. 5 to 8 inches tall. So let's be generous. We'll go with the larger size females for fleas, and we'll go for the smaller size chihuahuas of 5. Is it really 5? Like, how do people have chihuahuas? Like 5 inches? Really? 6 to 9 inches tall. I'm gonna go with the lowest of 5 inches, but like 5. Are chihuahuas really that big? Or that small? I must have just never interacted with a chihuahua. Are they really that small? Like, I felt that, like, I grew up with like tiny dogs too. Like, I had Shih Tzus when I was growing up. Like, those little nice little fluffy dogs, like, those were mine. And like, I felt bad whenever I accidentally grazed them, and they were at least of decent size. Like, geez. But okay. So mathematics, 5 inches divided by 5 millimeters. Ain't too bad. 25 times. Going with the smallest estimate, assuming the behemoth is chihuahua size relative to the largest fleas, 25 times bigger than an Albion. But considering they're walking on it still, I don't think it's 25 times. I don't think you could stack 25 Albions if it each reach the behemoth. That is legitimately, like, some people are still, like, I've seen it occasionally. It's not as bad. But I've seen some people be like, oh, well, you see, the demon realm, in reality, it's actually not even a world. It's probably just like, countryside. If the behemoth is that big, The behemoth alone is probably country sized. forget the actual rest of the realm. The behemoth alone is likely country size. But obviously, as amazed as I am that there are beefy, bulky beasts that big, now I can't really blame Zeldris for not being able to fight the darn thing if it's that massive. Zaza says something that's a little concerning. First things first, Zaza's out again. That's weird. I don't know. Did Zaza appear last chapter? I don't think Zaza appeared at all in 114, but they're back. And they say, you should know that. You've been here before. What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? Tell me. What do you mean by that? Because here's the thing, right? We do know Percy was in the demon world, obviously. Like, that's where the whole Papa Zell, Mama Gel comes from. But on the behemoth's back, I thought he healed the demons by kind of just existing amongst them. Did he really go to the behemoth? Did he do that? Like I don't know. Maybe I need to reread the earlier chapters, but like, did he really? I don't think he did. What does Zaza mean by you've been here before? That's a little concerning. Because a lot of people were talking, I saw some of y'all in the comment section, y'all were saying like, well, maybe a piece of our great one, maybe Percy is like tied to or is like a part of the behemoth. And I mean, I could wrong. It makes sense if he would originate from there, but still the behemoth is like weird. Like, I don't think the behemoth is even remotely close to human, right? Like, Percy has been described verbatim as human. Like, that is, Nakaba has said this, the whole plot hinges on him being human. Like, I don't think the behemoth is his mama or his papa, or he could have been, well, he could have been spawned from it, because we know, like, Chaos and even the Supreme Deity, like, this is a question I've always wondered, do the Supreme Deity and Demon King even really count as demons and goddesses? Like, when we build Legos, I know this is a super like out there comparison, but last time I checked, we couldn't create sentient life. But, well, we can, but they're like humans. It's different. But like, outside of Meliodas and Elizabeth and Zeldris, you know, like actual biological children of the respective deities, like, are the Supreme Deity, well, even by then, by proxy, are Zeldris, Mel, and Elizabeth like really goddesses and demons in the same traditional sense that they all are? I don't know. It feels like they kind of count as like higher life forms or something different. But with that being the case, still can't get over the idea that the Demon King just made this thing. And two, interesting that Percy should know, because he's been here before. I wonder what he was doing there, because he did stop it last time. He's likely the reason it went to sleep for 16 years, if I had to take a guess. But why? How? Nakaba's just drizzling, like he's just drizzling Salt Bay plot all over us. Like I can feel it. I can feel like I'm being tenderized. But like, I don't know, Nakaba, you're worrying me, bro. What are you cooking right now? However, we do get to see that Percy's like, oh, hey, it's jiggling me, because he's like, my magic don't jiggle, if bold. But yeah, even Percy's like, wait, you're back. That's weird. And we see that Zaza's like, no weird nicknames, please. But I'm sorry, Zaza. I'm not saying Zarura Endu every single time. You're going to be Zaza whether you like it or not. But with that being the case, we see that we get the comparison that the behemoth is pretty much like a flea. No, the Albion is pretty much like a flea to the behemoth. And interesting. It's very interesting that this is what got Zaza out. Like what? Because we know Zaza fused into Percy a few days ago. So I guess this whole time, Zaza was just chilling and maybe went radio silent, or maybe he was just talking to Percy inside his head. I don't know. Zaza's relative sentience is now confusing, because notably, Percy, at least right now and in the last chapter, he doesn't even seem to be leaking mini Percy. Yeah, was he? I'm trying to think. In 114, did he leak any mini Percy? No, I don't think so. I legit don't think he's been leaking mini Percys at all. Like, notably ever since, like, dare I say, his magic awakening. Like, he's always, you can see them in the background. When they evolved recently, they were just floating in the sky. No, it seems like the mini Percys are now purely tied into Zaza. He does not leak them anymore, which is, I guess, good for, like, magic preservation. like you aren't wasting magic, I guess. But, like, that's interesting that Zaza has, like, forcefully consolidated them all. Because notably, the mini Percys, and it's why I was so worried about them, they all did seem to have their own individualities. Like, they all did seem to be some variation, not people per se, but they were something. They had consciousness. They had families, lives. That's why I found it kind of dark every single time one of them would sacrifice themselves to heal somebody else, because they would literally, like, sacrifice their own being. But it's interesting that Zaza's not forcefully, like, I'm not sure if the mini Perseus can even feel pain, but he's consolidated all of them. They are all now just Zaza, which is interesting. Once again, I wonder if Zaza's sort of like a coherent mind, like a mind, what is it called? Not a mind's eye, like a coherent mass of multiple personalities, like a legion type thing, where there's all like a whole bunch of different personalities and ideologies and individualities in its head, but only one is like speaking at a time, or if like all the other ones just like their sentience is no more, like they just simply don't exist. I don't know. I feel like we won't get clarification for that. We don't get it in this chapter because things happen. But with that being, wow, oh, really, you gotta do this to me now when I'm recording? You couldn't wait, dog? Come on, chill out. You done? You done? Okay, he's done. So with that being the case, we do get to see. Sorry, I thought I heard him. You do get to see. I must be going crazy. But we see that with the size comparison being revealed and the fact that they're already on the behemoth and that the dog will not be quiet, Donnie's like, whoa, wait a minute. This might take a minute. So you're saying that the door might be somewhere around here? And Anne goes on the combo like, well, as thick as the miasma is, how can we even search? And that is a good question. Like, one, they are inside the behemoth. So, like, how big is this door? Like, especially if the behemoth itself is literally this ecosystem, how are they supposed to find the door? Like, if it's just like a regular human-sized door, how are you even, like, how do you get there? Maybe if it's like the portal from purgatory to the mortal realm that we saw in Seven Deadly Sins, that makes more sense that you could hypothetically see that. Like, that was as wide as the mountain, not mountain size, I'm not sure the Demon King was mountain size, but the really big Demon King's arm, like the Demon King nearly got his arm stuck in there. So that was of a decent size. But if it's like a regular sized door, how are they supposed to find it? They're kind of stuck out of luck. However, with that being the case, we don't get to dwell too much on that possibility because something is happening. Though this is interesting. This is very, very interesting. It makes sense why Lance is able to tell that something's up. But even Zaza's able to notice that, quote unquote, there's a fly latched on. Huh. How does Zaza do that? Because in particular, it makes sense. As Lance goes on to say later on, the reason he can sense that the Camelot Knights have latched on to Big Papa Albion, Sir THICKUMS, if you will, how does Zaza do that? Lance has heart reading, and we know this is like a pseudo AoE effect. Like, heart reading does not require eye contact. He can kind of just hear your heart's thoughts. He can hear what you think, which is 100% concerning. Like, that is absolutely terrifying. And you never want to think anything around Lance, because he'll know. Oh, he'll know. But with that being the case, how did Zaza do it? Maybe Zaza's magical senses are more attuned since it's a being of magic in of itself? Or maybe it has some variation of heart reading. I don't know. It's very interesting that it notices it alongside Lance. Notably, these pretty much are the two most powerful people in our crew. Presumably, Percy has not surpassed Zaza yet. And obviously, Lance is Lance. But interesting that Zaza's able to do that. That ability may come back to haunt us later. like usually we say it's a secret tool that'll help us later. That's a secret tool that may get us in trouble later. I don't know. The idea that it can read hearts and it may not care all too much about what it reads, I don't know. Seems dangerous. But with that being the case, Lance says brace for impact. And wait, brace for impact. If the fly's already latched on, what's gonna happen? I mean, that's a way to do it. That is a way to do it. I mean, I guess, like, you would do the same thing. Whenever I can feel something latch on me, I just move as fast as possible. Though, just like in One Punch Man, real life flies just have autonomous ultra instinct. Like, they put Whis to shame. Like, I seriously don't get it. The amount of, like, force, speed, and velocity that I put behind a fly swat from one of my hands, or really, even if, like, I'm wielding something else, the amount of force I swing behind it. I am shocked that they're able to just perfectly weave. Like, I've seen flies literally fly through the gaps in my fingers when my hand is like this. I don't see any gaps, but they will straight whoop, right on through. Shout outs to flies. But the Albion does slap itself with its big, meaty claws. Oh, sorry. But bada bing, bada boom, a big old slap. Look at this Albion being more anatomically correct than half of modern cartoon characters. But with that being the case, everyone did not brace for impact as they all get shaken, rumbled. But I do like little details here. Certain little cute details here. Look at the love trio right here, the love triangle. Anne and Nasians both latch onto Percy. Isolde, unfortunately, kind of just gets left alone here, which is kind of sad. I feel bad for Isolde. Like, once again, not the biggest fan of her character. If I had to do, if I had to do like a ranking now off the top of my head of 4 nice characters, I've already done like a hero ranking. But I think the recent Kion chapter has softened me up to a little bit. I think Isolde would be at the bottom, but instead of like before, where it was like, man, I just really don't like this character, now it's just mostly indifferent. She has nothing that, except for her power level, except for her raw stats. Like, the only thing that like has me remotely intrigued when Isolde has to do and say is the fact that I think she can solo season 1. And like a good chunk of early season 2. And Demon Slayer. And if it wasn't for I may think this is gonna be crazy. Isolde may beat Sakura. like that, like there's some crazy things that Isolde has done. That's the only thing keeps me invested in her. But I do feel bad to see her here just lost on her own. And of course you see Kion latch right onto Tristan. And Donnie, poor Donners, ever alone, latches onto the floor. And we see as Kion says, "Look out! The heck are you doing, Lancelot?" Lance is big chillin'. Though interestingly enough, he even shakes. I don't know. I guess all the power in the world can't stop you from being shaken up. But with that being the case, Lance, he is one of the most serious characters. He is the de facto leader of the group by a long shot. I think Anne has given up on that. Percy was never even vying for it. Donnie, Nasians, no. Kion, I mean, Tristan maybe a little bit, but even Tristan knows he's not him. And Gawain is still not here. The fact that they're letting that slide is still beyond me. Once again, I'm a little bit leaning towards plot-induced stupidity on that one. Like, really? 7 whole days and you didn't ask a single question on where she was? Really? But regardless, Lance is still 16. And you know, I'm a full-grown man. I'm a full-grown adult. And being completely real with you, if you gave me the chance to drive in Albion, I ain't doing much better than Lance does in this chapter. I'm going to do exactly what Lance does. Because we see Lance grins and lets out a little because he knows what he's about to do. And he says, "Look like, I swear I can speak English. I swear, I promise." He says, "Looks like we've got company." And with that being the case, a little certain something falls out of Sir THICKUMS. And we see that Nasian's like, "Company? The Chaos Knights? I didn't sense them at all, though." And with that being the case, we do get to see that Lance is like, they're focused on hiding, so they left their minds wide open. There's 6 or 7 of them. Interesting that he couldn't identify them all, but I guess maybe, not all of them were thinking at the same time. And that's also interesting that they were able to suppress their magical signatures that much, especially the beast they're with. Like, notably, I could kind of understand if the knights could do it, but like the fact that the Purgatory beast was able to suppress itself so well that everyone there couldn't sense it is pretty impressive of a feat. It's also very impressive that they managed to like instantly bore a hole into the Albion in time, because like presumably, I guess they may have had some reaction time. Like, they may have noticed the Albion raising its hand and be like, "Oh, that can only mean one thing." But still, the fact that they're able to bore a hole into it and then poop, pop that hole out is very, very impressive. That's a solid enough speed feat. Like, the Albions don't sleep. The Albions probably solo your favorite verse, unless it's like Dragon Ball. The Albion does not solo Dragon Ball. Sylvan does, though. But with that being the case, we do get to see that Mortlock asked the question, "Do you think they're on to us?" What do you think, bro? Why else would they randomly use the Albion's hand and smack it upside? Like, why, Mortlock? Like, think a little bit. I figured you'd be smarter than this, bro. The fact that he really has to ask that is kind of crazy. We do get to see that Tomatul was like, I thought we fully hit our press. Oh, interesting. Does that imply that Tomatul is the one? Okay, the only reason that caught my attention, notably, you can see Tomatul has his blade up here and his hand extended. Did Tomatul cut the hole? It was Tomatul, because that does. The only thing is, though, let me see. I feel like he wielded something like this. That, who knows? Maybe that could be. I mean, I was low-key kind of against Tomatul just being a newly named Nanashi, but what other goddess character do we know wields a sword that efficiently and that quickly, that may or may not have fought demons a whole bunch, that happens to be working for Camelot and or Arthur? Nanashi. So, I mean, I wouldn't be too shocked if this actually ended up being Nanashi, or like Nanashi's brother, or a trainee of Nanashi, like something of that line. But Tomatul does say, I thought we fully hid our presences. This might be a tricky foe. And, yeah, you don't say. You're, like, I wonder how much information has made it back. Like logically speaking, how much information do you think has made it back to Camelot about who the four knights have fought, who they have beat? Like, who knows? Like, the Dark Talismans, how well known were they in Camelot? And if they were well known, how do people feel about them being defeated by Lance in particular? Do they even know if it was Lance? I don't know. For Talisker, how well renowned was he? Ardbeg, I feel like Ardbeg was like commonly known as fodder. Ardbeg doesn't seem to be like one who was very high up in Camelot's rankings. But like, heck, the fact that Pelgar, Ironside, like seemingly enough high-ranking individuals that fought him, I don't know. You would think that they would be a little more prepared, or have at least a little bit of knowledge on what the four knights are capable of. Like Lance especially. Like, I feel like Arthur, if there's any single one of the four knights he should have worried about, or like given direct orders to like, hey, be wary of this one, you would think it'd be Lance. And you think he would know that, since Lance even did not Lance, Arthur gave Lance a whole assessment. He's like, you're cool, you're kind of like that, but the thing is, you rely a lot on your abilities, like your heart reading and stuff like that, to read my attacks. So you would think that Arthur would have warned his men, hey, sure, Percy's fodder, Tristan may be a little bit like that, and who knows, Gawain is my niece, she may as well be a joke, but watch out for Lance and his abilities. Like, you think that would be something that's like on the forefront of their minds, but clearly it isn't. And we do get to see that, look, I guess maybe not luckily enough, I can't tell who says this. Yeah, I literally can't tell who says it, but they all are told, oh wait, no, I think it's this dude, I always forget his name. The Tarmiel knockoff, they do see that a big old finger's coming down to poke him. And like, that is comically funny. Like, why? Lance, you have so many more efficient ways. Just go out there and deal with them for a hot second. Let Donnie drive the boat. Let Donnie drive the boat. But no, he is going to use the Albion. I mean, this is the Battle of the Albion chapter. And we do get to see that the Albion goes to pluck its own head, which is very, very impressive. Like that's like going straight into your ear, but like, instead of your ear, it's literally the top of your head. But we do get to see the Albion does plug up its hole. I mean, that doesn't mean anything, right? Like, the Albion plugs up its hole. But we see, as it goes to try and crush them, it is shown that these guys aren't like fodder. Though, interestingly enough, I don't know, this is strange to me. The Albions were, I'm not going to say they were fodder per se. I'm not going to say they, at least in comparison, like, if you want to, like, this kind of is embarrassing for the Chaos Knights, that all 6 or 7 of them together can't really deal with an Albion finger press. Like, at least if we're going off the original series, the Albions were like Grey Demon Hendrickson level, and we've had multiple Chaos Knights be able to like show either direct relativity to, or even superiority to characters like Leonis Percy, who should be relative, if not flat out above, like Chaos Gallon, a commandment tier fighter. And even No Magic Gallon, who should be like the weakest variation of Gallon we've ever seen. Even he could like one-tap Albions. So the fact that this whole crew is actually worried about getting flattened, I'm not sure if that's just like a testament to them not having the best lifting strength or something like that, but you think they would have like the destructive capacity or the ability to like tear through this Albion. Like I said before, look at Tomatul was seemingly enough his blade there. If I was Tomatul, literally as it's coming down, I'd be like, all right, wanna play the hard way? Let's do it. Just immediately gone. Like just immediately got to work on it. But I guess maybe it was too quick. But once again, speed-wise, the Albions weren't really all that impressive. Like, I don't know. This is kind of an antsy feat. Like, at least based on this alone. I know I can't take like scaling implications from everything. It's a big piece of rock. Obviously, it's going to be strong just for the sake of it being strong. But like, you would think that these, like, at bare minimum, season 2, likely what would literally have to be season 2 level characters if they want to take Percy, you would think this would be light work for them, right? Like, if Percy is able to go relative, if not flat out above Chaos Commandments, you would think that these knights, if they want to pose any sort of threat at all, would also be beyond that level. Or at least on it. I don't know. It feels a little bit wacky, but obviously this chapter isn't really for the Knights. This is specifically like a Albion fan service chapter. Then once again, I wonder, if you're a 4 Knights reader, does this mean anything to you? I mean, I guess it's just cool monsters fighting this chapter. But like, the reason I'm so invested is because it scratches the itch of like a lot of fun 7 Deadly Sins things that don't really get a much screen time, are going to be talked on or touched on that much, like the Albion, like Purgatory Beast, like stuff like that. That's the reason I like this chapter a lot. But like, if you're a 4 Knights fan, are you wondering why the Knights aren't just like, I don't know, fighting the other Knights? Instead, we're having this whole like big old beast battle go down? I don't know. But we do get to see that Morlock is like, I bet. Bring. Alacto, destroy the Albion. Destroy Sir Thickums. Eat his guts. And we do get to see that Alacto does boo and release multiple shots. Though notably, these are pretty impressive shots. This Alacto probably sold your favorite verse too. And we see these little tiny arrows cause these relatively massive explosions. Like, these are pretty big relative to an Albion. Like, that's pretty impressive. And we see that people inside the Albion realize, oh, okay, so something's going on. Look at that little boy. They must be controlling that Purgatory Beast. Presumably that's Lance talking, because do they know? Do they know about, like, who except for, it has to be Lance or Tristan talking this, because who else would know about Purgatory Beast? Like, I don't know if any of them do. Like, Percy definitely wouldn't know. I highly doubt, and like, how widespread is Purgatory? Because, like, in the original series, how many people knew about Purgatory? It was Merlin's dad, as by proxy Merlin. Heck, Hawk didn't even know, but to be fair, Hawk was a baby. But like, the Demon King, Meliodas, because he went there all the time. Well, not all the time. Whenever he got packed, he went there. Like, I don't know. Is it really, like, I wonder like how widespread Purgatory knowledge is now. But considering this isn't like the first Purgatory Beast we've seen in the series, I'm not shocked that it's becoming like more and more relevant. And it's very impressive. Once again, we knew no Purgatory Beast should be, like, this isn't too surprising that it's on this level. We got to remember, just a random, like an absolute random Purgatory Beast was more than powerful enough to like give, what, 112 years of training Bond a bit of a challenge? That's a lot. That's pretty powerful. And he was even able to outpace like Soul Meliodas in Purgatory. Like that, those Purgatory Beasts are kind of crazy. And when considering what we learned about this one, it makes sense that it's able to pretty much go toe to toe, if not flat out overwhelm the Albion. But with that being the case, we do get to see that Lance is living his Albion dreams. The true Albion fanboy is coming out of Lance, and he's like, not too shabby, a worthy foe for the Albion for sure. And we see that Donnie's like, dude, really? Now's not the time to be fangirling, bro. We gotta fight. And no, Donnie, now is the time to be fangirling. Here's the thing. Maybe it's just like the subtle mecha fan in me. I wish Lockdoll was bigger, or like could go bigger, or could do something like that. Like, I love giant fights. Like, and especially someone like Nakaba, who's really, really good at combat. I would love to see him do like a proper giant v giant fight, because you don't really get to see it in Seven Deadly Sins. Like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of all Seven Deadly Sins. You never see anything of like Albion scale fight. Usually it's like David and Goliath scenarios where you have like an Albion, or you have a giant, then you have someone like Meliodas fighting it, or something like King fighting it, where like the size, the creatures of great size never really have other creatures of great size to contend with. So this is kind of just like, oh, well, it is still new, though. It is still new. Seeing the Rakdo pop off is really, really cool. But still, I do wish Sir THICKUMS had an equally chunky opponent before, you know. But with that being the case, we see that Lance is like, I bet. Let's get active, ladies and gentlemen. And he swings. Well, is that the right or the left? He swings and goes in, but Rakdo is way too quick and skims right over. Fires this time a multi-pronged arrow. Before it was firing like these single-pronged energy arrows. Fires a multi-pronged arrow. And then, boom, a big old chunk of the Albion. Once again, I wonder if these things are like at all sentient. Presumably not. I don't think the Albion feels pain. But, like, the way it reacts here to getting hit. Very, very interesting. And once again, like I said, it was a two-pronged shot, so he has 2 levels of explosions. And we see that Lance is like, no, that guy can move faster, huh? So, do we have any anti-air attacks? And once again, like, I wonder why he's so much of a... Like, he should know it does. Like, he realistically should know. Right? Like... Because that is Lance speaking. I was about to say maybe it's someone else speaking. But no, that is Lance. He got the DLC. Like, let me think. Maybe Gother was still... but the thing is, we know that Gother, when he gave Tristan and Lance the full story DLC, like, gave them the 4K variation of the anime that we should have gotten, like, it showed events that Gother wasn't there for. So I feel like the Albions should have been shown to him. Or, well, then again, I guess it's the phrasing of the sentence that catches me off guard. Because notably, we never get to see someone inside an Albion before. But now we do know that Albions do have anti-air tactics. We see, literally, it tried to use 5 of them on Meliodas, and that's why he gets Lost Fate. But, with that being the case, we do get to see that Lance is like, fire! Shoot it down! No, it only takes commands in Demon Tongue. You couldn't get a... I'm out of water. I'm sorry. Zeldris. You couldn't put a translator in there? I mean, I guess they come with a translator. Because you get to see that Percy just goes... I'm not even sure what that... I can't wait to hear the anime. I can't wait to hear the anime do demon language. Because, like, let me think. I don't think we ever actually hear Demon Tongue in the original series. Do we? The only, like, specifically not, like, non-English or non-Japanese, but depending on which translation you're reading, the only non-generic words that we know in our modern day kind of things that I remember in the original series are any spells, any like complex spells that have like incantations. So like anything Merlin or Vivian uses, those typically have fancy words that are not regular English. And Merlin's true name, which is something which still is a plotline I feel like gets dropped. Like, I don't think I feel like that was supposed to go somewhere more than, oh, she was just from a family of, like, super important wizard people. Like, I don't know. But with that being the case, Percy goes, execute order 66. And immediately, the Albion is like, yes, my master. And blah, whip, straight up, whip, straight at Rakdo. And... that's interesting. Like, notably, I'm pretty sure the Albion didn't work like this in the original series. Like, it had cannons that would, like, extend from itself. I don't think it ever actually opened its mouth and went, whip, I felt that in my chest. Yo, do not whip on camera. Note to self. That actually hurt. But, interesting. We see it whip, and what did I just tell myself not to do? Though we see Rakdo gets hit. It does get smacked. It actually does take the hit. But Like, why is this the most jovial we've seen? Like, I swear, this is the most jovial and lighthearted we've seen Lance in the entire series. Not even Guinevere had him acting like this. Like, come on now, bro. Like, he's like, yeah, nice move, Percy. Keep executing Order 66. And Percy says, don't worry, I'll keep up the barrage. Execute Order 66. Execute Order X. And he just keeps executing the orders. And once again, the Albion just keeps on spitting. But, like, and now it's just aiming randomly. Like, I'm not sure what happened. Like, it went for, like, it hit Rakto. But then these are just like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 random shots. You just trying to destroy the whole area or something? Like, no. And notably, I mean, they should know that the knights aren't on Arakto. I'm sorry, Arakto. I for some reason, certain names or phrases in certain series, like, bring, I'm not even sure what it is, that pronunciation out of me. Like, I see Arakto, or I see Arakto, and then, like, I want to roll my R's. Cannot tell you why. Maybe I just need practice. But with that being the case, they're just firing random shots now. Like, they aren't even aiming, which is kind of weird. But I guess since Percy is kind of just commanding the thing to blindly shoot, it's not like the Albion has, like, auto-aim or anything. But with that being the case, it causes massive amounts of damage. Once again, I need to remind you, do not let this scale fool you. That's a mountain. It's a walking, not talking, chunka-dunka of a mountain. And just five of these shots did this. Like, someone calc, that's gotta be a feat. Someone needs to calc that for me. Please, I'm not a calc beast myself. Someone needs to calc that. That has to wipe a verse. That has to clear the rumbling. Right then and there, in of itself, that has to clear the rumbling. Please, someone calc that for me. I am begging you. Because there's no way that's not, like, a new feat that we gotta, like, throw in the catalog. Because, like, that is wild. Just 5 shots did all that. Like, whew. My calc beasts out there, get to work. But we do get to see that everyone's a little bit shocked. And while Anne is terrified, Donnie is like, whoa, that was a bit too much, but that was kind of violent. And we see that person's like, I mean, I'm sorry, Behemoth Chan, I didn't mean to do that to you. And we do get to see that Tristan's like, Lance, you're getting too carried away. And hey, Tristan? It's like, ooh, jeez. Got a crust in my eye. Darn. But Tristan, that's a lot of talk from someone who lost to a man named Schwartz. You ever get your run back, Tristan? You ever spend some time with your uncle in the demon world and get your powers under control? Oh wait, no. Which one of you is the strongest? Huh? Which one of you is the strongest of the 4 Knights of the Apocalypse? Because I'm sure it ain't you. Because guess what Lance would have been beaten by? A demon named Schwartz. Me personally, put me in the 7 Deadly Sins. Put me in the 7 Deadly Sins world. And I ain't getting beat by a man named Schwartz. If his name was Bellion, that'd be different. If his name was Bellion, he probably whooped my behind. But Schwartz? Not me. I'm sorry. Me personally, Tristan, I'm not letting this slide. There are many things in the entire verse I let slide. If Sir THICKUMS over here were to atomize me with that Giga Blast thing, you know, it's tough luck. It'd be like that, it'd be like that. But a man named Schwartz, I just couldn't take that level of disrespect, Tristan. Like, that's just me. I mean, it's okay for you, but I just want you to watch your mouth when you're talking to the goat. I'm just saying. But with that being the case, Kion, of course, the mightiest meat muncher this side of the Mississippi, goes on to say, yeah, please, Lancelot, you're being to him. And we do get to see that the explosion is super duper big. like I was kind of only showing you this, but like, look at this. Look at how massive this is. That was from 5 shots. Like, that alone, right? If the Albion is truly mountain-sized, that's at bare minimum like an island level shot, right? Like, that at bare minimum has to be island level. Like, I don't know. Once again, I am not a calc beast. I'm furthest thing from a calc beast. I cannot do those kind of mathematics to save my life. But look at this. This is a double spread worth of destruction from 5 shots. 5. Like, even if you have to divide this up like 5 times to say, oh, a single shot of the Albion can do this much. Like, that kind of DC from 5 shots. Imagine if it was 10, 20, 30, Like, just keep doing mathematics. Like, come on now, that's crazy. And realize, like, season 2 characters scale above, like, once again, if the Albions are all uniform, maybe this is like a Giga Albion. Maybe that's why it's super crazy and able to go up against, like, Chaos Knights that should at bare minimum be stronger than Chaos Commandments and stuff like that. If they want to be, like, a threat to the 4 Knights and a threat to Percy, who they are specifically hunting for. Like, if this Albion, which reasonably, for all intents and purposes, should be the same as every other Albion, like, so many characters scale above it. Hauser was one-shotting Albions by the time of the Holy War. Not to talk of a 16-year time skip. Gila probably scales above. Like, so many characters scale above this. Like, this is a crazy feat just to throw out there by an Albion. But with that being the case, we do get to see that Lance is like, oops, my bad. That was too much fun for me, though. So Lance is having a good time. Once again, I guess it's kind of like, what's an equal comparison to real life? Because, like, I can't think of a comparison in real life because it's so specific, but, like, I suppose a decent comparison is, like, yeah, sure, you yourself could go lift up a box and put it somewhere, but isn't it more fun to use a crane? Like, isn't it more fun to make heavy machinery do it? Like, sure, Lance could probably do something of at least comparable AP. Maybe not DC. I don't think Lance is like DC of this caliber. But, like, he could probably do something of much greater AP than this. But he probably could easily one-tap Orakdo and, like, all the Chaos Knights if he really wanted to. But there's something more fun about doing it through a big, massive mech. Like, it's just cooler, man. Like, if you don't get it, you don't get it. But I get it. I understand where Lance is coming from. And with that being the case, we do get to see oh, they're still chilling in the hole. But Mortlock was like, what destructive force? We kind of got creamed, Lord Mortlock. It's so fun because, like, this is ancient times, right? Like, well, not ancient times. It's not like, I mean, it is the medieval period, but it's not like caveman times. But, like, hearing these people from the time of Arthurian mythology, like old England and stuff like that, hearing them saying, like, we kind of got creamed. Like, I don't know. Like, what? Like, do people even say that now? I'm not sure. How many times have you heard someone say we... Usually, okay, I've heard people say they got creamed, but it's usually not, like, just creamed. What are the limits of the jokes I can make? I need to go reread YouTube guidelines. I need to see what kind of limits I can push. I feel like I was already... By saying what kind of dog I had earlier, I feel like I already risked something massively. So like... I'm not going to push too hard. But with that being the case, we see that they did in fact get creamed. But not really, because Rakdo is still pretty Himothy. And, Sir Thickums! Sir Thickums, no! Sir Thickums, we just met you, bro. I love you, Sir Thickums. You just gave us literally probably one of the best destructive feats of the entire series, Sir Thickums. I'm sorry, but unfortunately, Sir Thickums is once again fighting a purgatory beast, and we know if Mel at the start of season 2 with a little bit of that lost vein can cause an Albion a lot of lost pain, obviously a purgatory beast, especially considering a purgatory beast of this caliber, like Orakdo is described to be, it's gonna do numbers. Like there's no way it doesn't do numbers. And these numbers are in fact drastic. We see the light straight tears through, and no, it's specifically light. I know that's one of the scariest words for some Nilly Sense antis. Oh look, another random character with light powers. It'd be a shame if someone could blitz and one-shot this character. But with that being the case, we do get to see the light tear straight through Sir Thickums, straight down. He doesn't look as round in this shot. Like I know it's a weird thing, but like, look at how round he looks in pretty much every other shot. Like, he looks round here. He looks round. We don't get many shots of him. He looks round here. He looks gig around here. But like, he looks kind of slimmed out. Like, in this panel in particular, he looks kind of slimmed out. Like, he lost a couple pounds from being sliced in half. But he does get absolutely torn. And even, once again, it's weird. This is the behemoth. Like, remember, they are not fighting on random ground anymore. This isn't just random demon world ground. Like, Orakdo tore into the behemoth's back. is it not going to be a little nettled? Like, at least with here, it looks like this did cause a bunch of damage, but, like, it didn't, like, leave a gaping crater in the behemoth's back. Like, this straight up tore through behemoth's flesh. It ain't going to be a little bit nettled? Like, I get it. The Albion's a flea, so likely this is, like, an insect bite. But, like, I don't know. Have you ever been bit by a mosquito before? Sure, it's like in 100th, if not 1,000th of your size, but you still get annoyed and be like, hey. But then again, the behemoth doesn't have thumbs or hands, and who knows where they actually are on its back. So it may not be able to scratch it. But can you imagine if the behemoth just did a barrel roll? Like, have you ever seen dogs? Like, whenever dogs have an itch, I specifically remember mine, they would always, like, just go, they would throw themselves on their back and just start scratching against the ground. So, like, imagine if the behemoth just did that and just did a barrel roll and just started to scratch. Obviously, everyone would instantly perish. So that's why it's not going to happen. Still, interesting that it can just tear into the behemoth's back and the behemoth gives light work, no reaction. But with it being the case, we do get to see that the Albion is going down. It's going down. I can't sing, I'm sorry. But with that being the case, we see that Lance is so determined. He's like, not yet, it ain't. This is the most fun he's had in years. This is probably the most fun he's had in his entire life. I swear, we have never seen Lance this happy. I swear we have never seen Lance this happy. Like, we've seen him, like, content, maybe a bit joyous and stuff like that, but we have never seen him this pleased with himself. And having this much, like, this is the most anger we've ever seen him express. The entire series, except for when he got mad at Arthur. But with that being the case, we see that Big Papa Morlock, he starts slobbing off the Aracto. The Aracto, not Aracto. There's one R. There should not be rolling the R there. But the Aracto's a purgatory beast. It's called the Servant of the Purgatory Lord. Who's that? Who's that? Is that the Mama in Chaos? But it says, here's the thing, right? Is Lord gender neutral? Like, it really depends on like, is Lord gender neutral? I don't think it is. That does sound male. Is it because Chaos? Like, do they now know that's not the mother of Chaos? It is Chaos. But then, is Chaos considered male or female or just non-gendered? I don't know. Interesting that that's brought up. The Servant of the Purgatory Lord. Maybe that's just another beast. Like the lion is called the King of Beasts or the King of the Jungle. So maybe it's just another purgatory beast. But interesting. The idea of the Purgatory Lord. The Aracto is a servant to it. Intriguing. I wonder if that's going to be brought up later. Maybe that'll be like. Then again, we've seen Ironside with his summon. But maybe that'll be Ironside summon in the late game or Pelgard summon. Because we never got to see Pelgard summon, I don't think. So maybe the Lord of Purgatory will be that. I don't know. With that being the case, this is very, very interesting. Because Mortlock, when he begins to slop off Aracto, he says, it's called the Servant of the Purgatory Lord. It's said to refer living in the harshest of purgatory conditions. The light. The light. 5-letter word starts with an L, ends with an ite. From its eyes raises the earth, and its armor reflects all magic elements. What? What? That is crazy. Reflects? They may have a neat toy there, but it can't quite match up with an Aracto. And, that's crazy. Okay. So, like, there's like... I just want to pluck so many characters out of 7 Deadly Sins and 4 Nights. But I was already gassing up McDuff. But first things first, this thing is light attacks. It just has light attacks. So if your verse is not FDL or has any light speed feats, it's losing to the Aracto. It just gazes at you. The lights from its eyes. It fires a light beam at you. Done. If it can tear through an Albion, it can tear through your lesser than mountain level verse. 2, it's armor reflects all magic elements. Presumably by armor, it's like its scales or whatever. But that means it took no damage from this. From attacks that could do this. Sure, it was a single attack, but still, it took no damage from that. And that's crazy. It can reflect all magic elements. That's wild. That's wild. That's essentially a magic reflector. That's low-key better than, like, a lot of abilities in the entire series. Like, just sheer magic reflection. That's not even its main ability. Its main ability is like the Light Eyes thing. But it can reflect all magic elements. That is crazy. But with that being the case, Morlock is gassing it up. But the reason I say this is interesting is because it implies that purgatories actually start to be explored. Presumably by maybe Merlin? or like Merlin's disciples, or like maybe even Arthur himself. But it's interesting that like purgatory lore is starting to be set up, because before the only creatures that had existed in purgatory were Merlin's dad for like a minute in real time, and well, not real time, in mortal realm time, in 1 year in purgatory time. So I doubt he could chronicle anything, since Merlin literally says he came back mad. And then I don't think Bon or Meliodas came out and wrote a purgatory book. So it implies that Camelot has been exploring purgatory to the point where it has lore. Like, notably, just summoning a purgatory beast was one thing or the other. Like, when Macduff called on his... In fact, was it his Interacto? No, his wasn't his Interacto. It was something different. It was some weird different beast. But, like, when he called on it, I was just like, oh, okay, so maybe Arthur just has, like, the direct hookup to purgatory. Because, you know, Mother of Chaos things. But... no, it seems like there's genuine purgatory lore now. Like, the implications of this, maybe Nagaba didn't think of it when he was writing it like this, but the implication of this to me is that, you know, purgatory is actually like a thing that's been explored or is being explored right now. So we already spent some time in the demon world, but we may actually get some time where our characters journey into purgatory and get to see more and more purgatory lore, which is interesting. Purgatory, admittedly, there are other realms I would like to see explored more first. I'd love to see more of the celestial realm. I want to see more of the fairy realm. Giants just sucks, so they haven't got nothing. But, like, it really is purgatory. If I had to rank it, it's probably, like, Capital of the Dead, Fairy Realm. No, actually, no. Celestial Realm, Capital of the Dead, Fairy Realm, Purgatory. But, hey, I mean, a little bit more Purgatory Lord never hurt nobody. I like that. That's crazy. But, with that being the case, Nasian's like, we're too outclassed, I think. I think we're done. But, of course, Lance, you know, if there's one thing you shouldn't do to a 16-year-old kid, it's take away one of his newest toys, because he begins to draw an arrow, and we see that Morlock senses them within the belly of the beast, the belly of Sir THICKUMS. May he rest in peace. And we see that Morlock commands that Oracto does its best to aim for the belly, only for the Albion to have its protector, its belly button blast. Like, I'm not sure what this was, right? Because the Oracto is supposed to reflect all magic elements. So maybe this is just like, I'm not sure what this is. But we get this crosshair, and it just straight, boom, straight through the Oracto. Tears it to pieces. I'm assuming this is just like visual effects, and Lance actually just fired his arrow that hard. Or maybe maybe since it needs to have a magic element, maybe Lance's neutral magic counts as bypassing it. Or maybe what could happen here, does the Oracto... Well, then again, I can't tell if the Oracto has its mouth open. Maybe it's like its mouth was open thing, and thusly it tore straight through it. But it looks like it tore through the teeth. So I don't know. It looks like Lance just broke the rules of the Oracto. Maybe the Oracto isn't good for crossroads. But with that being the case, Morlock is like, no way. That was our ride. How are we supposed to get out of here now? Tomato, let's hop on your back. But we do get to see that stomach ray, the Albion's most powerful attack, and nothing can stop it. You know, if you told me when Lance first got revealed that Lance would be an Albion fanboy, I probably wouldn't believe you, but I'm happy that it's true. I'm very happy that it's true. And we see that Lance, he has a little bit of a chuckle to himself. And Donnie is like, was that your bow and arrow? Because that was wild. And yes, it was in fact quite wild. But, of course, all good things must come to an end. Because as Lance tries to say, no, me, my bow and arrow, ignore it as I put my bow back on my back. That's the Albion special move. I mean, Albions are cool. Like, don't get me wrong. Albions are metal as all get out. Like, gigantic, crazy, demonic earth golems. Don't get me wrong. They are some of the most heat things in the series. Lance being so childish about it. Like, look at his face. Look at his face. He's so happy to have an Albion. But, of course, we see that Evie Nossings is like, guess even he really hates the idea of an Albion losing this fight. And Anne is like, oh, that's right. He is still 16, no matter how serious he can be. And, interesting, we hear ... Or Percy hears ... He hears the ellipses. And he turns, but he doesn't know if someone talked to him or not. And suddenly, before this can even get resolved, the Albion begins to fall. Because, obviously, it's it's dead. But with that being the case, who is this? Maybe this is Rosebank? Maybe this is Rosebank. Her magical ability may have something to do with this. Maybe it's Zaza. A little bit concerned about the level of power that Lancelot can wield. Because Zaza doesn't appear for the rest of the chapter. Notably, we last see Zaza. Let me think. Let me just double check the end of the chapter real quick. Yeah, Zaza's gone. Zaza's gone again. The last time we see Zaza in this chapter is very specifically here. Zaza, his last appearance is on page 3. And then disappears immediately. Like, notably when everyone collapses in on Percy, Zaza is gone. So maybe this is just Zaza, a little bit pensive in Percy's head. Or it's Rosebank. Or maybe it could even be Gawain. Once again, Gawain, like Merlin, can kind of just keep pulling stuff out of a magic hat, and I wouldn't really be able to say, that makes no sense, because we have no idea how deep their bag goes. So, I don't know. Very interesting that this is brought up here. Unless maybe this is the Behemoth. Maybe the Behemoth, once again, is communicating like, my boy, is that you, my boy? Is that you? Like, maybe. I don't know. Very, very interesting, though. This is obviously gonna matter. But with it being the case, the Albion begins falling. And Sir Thickums, I draw my blade for you, Sir Thickums. It was an honor and a pleasure knowing you and working alongside you, even if it was short-lived. Your belly button blast, solos, many verses, and I greatly appreciate your contribution to 7 Deadly Sins scaling through your 5-shot volley. It was an honor and a pleasure, and your contributions to this series will not be forgotten. I love you, Thickums, Sir Thickums, and I hope you rest in peace. But we must go on, for Sir Thickums would want us to. And we see, as everyone hops on out, specifically the knights, they all land. Some more gracefully than others. Mortlock and Tomatul land fine, but everyone else kind of falls flat on their face. I don't know, these knights feel super underwhelming. But Mortlock sees. So it's you, huh? The dogs that's been sniffing around for us. And with a smile on his face, Sir Thickums is laid to rest. And the chapter ends. So, next week, we are definitely getting the Knights versus the crew. Very excited to see that. Obviously, Rosebank still has Percy's piece on him, or on her. I wonder if Zaza is going to come out and be like, give me that. Entirely possible. I feel like that could happen here. I feel like Rosebank is going to get in trouble. I could see Rosebank even betraying the Chaos Knights for Percy out of just the sheer interest she has in him now. I'm interested to see certain matchups. Specifically, I'm interested to see how the non-Knight candidates match up. Because I believe it's 7-7 now, right? Because they're the 7 Chaos Knights, and there's Lance, Percy, Tristan, Nasians, Donnie, and Kion and Kion and Iso. So it's 8. It's a, but the thing, I feel like I'm missing something. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's 8. So it's going to be an 8v7. So someone's getting jumped. Who's getting jumped? I don't know. Someone's getting jumped. But I'm very intrigued to see that. This was a very nice chapter. Once again, it was a lot of just like punchy punch, fighty fight. But, you know, it featured Sir Thickums himself and the end of Sir Thickums. So I got to love it. So overall, yes, in fact, the chapter is worthy. I'm super duper excited. Once again, this chapter has little things that catch my attention a lot. The main things I really like are the hints that Purgatories likely have been or is being further explored. I love seeing Lance have a bit more playful characterization. The more diverse the character gets, the more of a character he becomes, and the more the character he is, the better. Getting more lore on Purgatory Beasts, getting a cool Purgatory Beast is nice. And I just love the Albion, bro. I really love the Albion. And obviously, there's a little mystery stuff, like Zaza mentioning that Percy's been here before, and Percy hearing that mysterious voice. Nagaba's very good at whipping it all together. He'll give you a cool fight, he'll give you some cool lore, and he'll tease you a little bit with that secret information. Overall, super duper excited. Very W chapter. However, That's what I think. Please what you guys think in the comment section down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And make sure the notification bell so you do not miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, you have a Patreon down below where you can support for as low as $1 a month. Get things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. You also now become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. Now, thank you guys so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is Dagger the Pencil, writing off. I'd like to give a very big thank you to our $3 members, Recliner Plays and Red Bull 4765. I'd like to give another very big thank you to our $5 patrons, Alex Ice Rose, Art Goon, DemXLND, Midnight Gemlord, Red Bull 4765, and Sean. I'd like to give another very big thank you to our $10 patrons, iDemokami, Joaquin, and Robbie Uchiha. I'd like to give another gargantuan thank you to our $25 member, Alex Ice Rose.